All right, guys, so the results are in from the 2018 Arnold Classic in Australia. I know a lot of you guys wanted to watch it last night, but due to the time difference between Australia and the U.S., and obviously other countries as well, for me in the U.S., the Arnold Classic Australia didn't start until about 3 a.m. So I didn't really have a chance to watch the whole thing until today, the day after it happened. So there was a little bit of a changing of the guard here in this 2018 Arnold Classic Australia versus what we saw at the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. Definitely different result. William Bonac did not come out on top. So first I'll give you guys the top six, and then I'll give you guys some other placings that I found to be interesting. So you got Roelly Winklaar winning his first ever Arnold Classic Australia. So very big props to Roelly. Very impressive beating William Bonac, moving up significantly from that fourth place finish at the Arnold, Ohio to winning a couple weeks later the Arnold, Australia. So in second place, you had William Bonac looking, in my opinion, very, very similar to how he looked at the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. Roelly Winklaar, he did look a tad sharper, in my opinion, than he looked at the Arnold, Ohio. But it was a tremendous amount of placings to move up, in my opinion. I mean, moving up 3 placings to win, just based on a little bit sharper conditioning, I thought was kind of a weird decision because honestly, I felt that Bonac, he wasn't really off to me. Bonac looked like he was just as conditioned as he was at the Arnold, Ohio. He looked great. Roelly Winklaar did look better. He looked a little bit more conditioned, a little bit sharper. Again, it's only a 2-week difference. Now, I think that Roelly's color looked better, meaning his tan was better at the Arnold, Australia than it was at the Arnold, Ohio. I think that played a big factor in how good he actually looked. But yeah, so you had William Bonac in second. You had Dexter Jackson in third. So Dexter Jackson, I would say the main takeaway is that left bicep. So that bicep that seemed a little bit off at the 2018 Arnold Classic in Ohio seemed a lot more off at this Arnold Classic in Australia. And I think it was so off to the point where, maybe he didn't even deserve third. I mean, it was very, very noticeable at the Arnold Classic in Australia. It looked like it was potentially torn, and it just really threw off his balance of his physique. And he actually he did not look happy while he was posing, especially in the front double bicep poses. But yeah, you had Dexter Jackson in third. And then this placing is a placing that I don't really agree with. You had Lucas Osladil in fourth place. And this is a guy, he does bring pretty good conditioning to the stage, but overall his physique, I don't want to hate on the guy, but honestly, it's one of the least aesthetic physiques. I don't want to say ugliest, but it's just not pretty to look at. This guy's physique, his midsection, I think it's just horrible. However, his conditioning is usually on point, so that's probably what got him that fourth place spot. But then you had Hidetada Yamagishi in fifth, and I would say you could have made a pretty good argument for Hidetada being better than Lucas Osladil, and putting Hidetada even in fourth. And then you had Luke Sando in sixth. So that's the top 6, guys, but let me get to some other placings that I thought you guys might want to know about. So Dennis Wolf, obviously, this is his second show since his comeback at the 2018 Arnold Classic in Ohio. Obviously, he's been off for a while due to an injury. We all know he lost a tremendous amount of size, and during this comeback, he's been trying to put that size back on. Now, obviously, as we saw at the Arnold, Ohio, he wasn't able to put all of that size back on, but he was able to put some of it and then come in with crazy conditioning in order to place decently at the Arnold, Ohio, but he placed even better at the Arnold, Australia. Dennis Wolf placed within the top 10, placing a solid 10th place and beating 4 guys. So in 11th, you had Nathan Williamson, and 12th, you had Sam Pierce, and 13th, you had Kevin Levrone, and in 14th, you had Darren Onakawa. So this is actually one of the videos I was going to make going into the Arnold Classic in Australia. Is going to be who would have the better comeback, Dennis or Kevin. So I was going to make a comparison video before we actually saw how they looked, just to see, you had Dennis Wolf coming off of this, long time off. You had Kevin Levrone coming off of this long time off. Who's going to win between Dennis and Kevin? Because obviously we saw that Dennis was significantly downsized, but we do know that Kevin Levrone is able to bring a lot of the size that he had back in the day, with the exception of the legs. So I thought that would be an interesting battle, Dennis and Kevin, but it turns out Dennis won that battle. And I don't know if it was the lighting there or what, but in my opinion, watching the live stream, Dennis Wolf looked markedly better, to me at least, at the Arnold, Australia than he looked at the Arnold, Ohio. I mean, his conditioning still looked amazing, but he looked a little bit bigger to me. I don't know if it was the call-outs that he was getting. But he looked good to me. He looked really, really good, and he placed 10th. So definitely an improvement over the Arnold, Ohio placing. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. It is definitely not time to write off Dennis Wolf and just assume he's done. I think Dennis Wolf still has a lot left to prove. He's still got a lot left to do in bodybuilding. I don't think we've seen the last of Dennis Wolf. So Kevin Levrone in 13th place, not placing dead last, beating one guy, Darren Onakawa. Now, I made a separate video about this because I thought it deserved its own video. Again, I think a lot of people were watching the Arnold Australia specifically to see Kevin Levrone. I said this in my other video. I was actually planning on going to Australia, if only to see Kevin Levrone compete for the very last time. He said going into this show, this was going to be the last show that he ever does. So I'm sure he's going to stick to that because I think he realized, prepping for this show, that the legs are not going to come back. So I think the main 2 points to take away from his comeback is, number one, anyone who looks at this guy, you don't have to be a bodybuilding fan. You can be pretty much anybody off the street. You can look at Kevin Levrone and the physique that he brought, and you can probably tell right away that the conditioning really, really missed the mark, especially in the midsection. The abs were almost not visible in many of the mandatory poses. He was holding a significant amount of water, and I would say even a little bit of fat on his midsection on stage. The legs were a little bit bigger, but watery. And that would be the second point that I would bring up. And that would be that it looked like he was trying to play the size game. It looked like he knew that his legs were not going to come up at some point during his prep. And he said, okay, well, if the legs aren't going to come up, I'm just going to try to come in as big as possible and sacrifice some conditioning to do that. And I think he was successful in that regard. He certainly came in bigger than he came in at the Olympia. So those will be the 2 points. The legs weren't there and the conditioning was bad, but he did come in bigger. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about the placings and the results of the 2018 Arnold Classic Australia, specifically Kevin Levrone, Dennis Wolf, and then, of course, Roelly Winklaar winning the show. Thank you guys for watching the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.